Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on some more DC stuff. So it's been another week or so. Actually, it's been about less than a week, something like that, just under a week, and a bunch more DC stuff has come out to talk about, break down, all that stuff. This ranging from the Flash movie and some interesting stuff with that, DCTVs Future on HBO Max, which is quite surprising and interesting, and just a bunch of other stuff regarding some DC films and properties. So yeah, let's get into it. But of course, throughout the video, be sure to let me know your various thoughts in the comments section down below about these various things. Any thoughts, any theories, let me know in the comment section down below. I'm always curious to read them. So the first thing to talk about is the Flash film. So we got some pretty surprising news regarding the Flash movie, and it has actually nothing to do with changes to the film, anything really specifically to do with Ezra Miller, and just updates regarding themselves or a change in release date. Those have been the updates like up to this point that we've been consistently getting, but instead it's a massive vote and show of confidence from Warner Brothers Discovery. They're like, hey, we're liking it. And this is because they're actually going to be showing the movie early, and not just a week early, but just under 2 months early, or earlier than the initial release date that the public's going to be getting. So this news came from Variety, who exclusively reported several days ago that the Flash film would have an early screening at CinemaCon in Las Vegas in late April, with of course the release date for the film to us peasants in the general public being that of like the middle of June, like June 15, June 16, depending on where you live. Now, as I said, CinemaCon is taking place in Las Vegas from April 24th through to April 27th, with major studios typically bringing sizzle reels, first look trailers, and bringing out their big stars at this yearly gathering, which is designed to sort of get exhibitors, very excited about the movies they'll be putting on the screens in the coming year, so they know that there's, good stuff is coming to their way in regards to business things. You want to be a cinema owner, might I say, and having like some other random crap like Morbius 2, 3, and 4 coming. You'd be a bit worried, wouldn't you? Now, in years gone past, bringing out these movies and, giving an early screening to these big crowds at CinemaCon filled with all these like cinema related people usually goes over pretty well. Along with the fact that these theater managers and owners get to like sort of rub shoulders with both like big Hollywood people and their insiders, as well as the stars potentially as well. Now, last year, the big movie that was brought along and sort of shown to everyone like, ooh, was Top Gun Maverick. And of course, we saw how big of a movie that was in the cinemas. And there's a pretty good run with that. I think it was that, and I can't remember what the movie was the year before, but I think both movies that have been done the past 2 years have gone on to do very well at the box office. Now, Warner Brothers is expected to still bring a formal presentation to this, the Coliseum at Caesar's Palace where CinemaCon is going on. So the Flash movie is scheduled to play in the late afternoon, roughly on April 25th, after the studio, shows its other upcoming slates for the, the next 24 months, the next 12 months or roughly. Now, April 25th, that's a pretty good day for me because that's my birthday. So I don't know if that's a good sign. I mean, I'd hope so. I'd bloody hope so that that's a good sign, but we'll wait and see. Now, as I said, usually the big stars associated with the films that are flaunting around are brought in for the presentations. And with The Flash, I would say, quite clearly appearing to be Warner Brothers' biggest film of the year and a potential $1 billion film, it possibly could be the first film released this year to hit $1 billion at the box office. It will be very interesting to see if Ezra Miller is attached to this. Now, it is still 2 months away roughly from, right now from when this early showing is happening. And from everything that's being said over the past handful of months, Ezra Miller is going pretty well in the recovery that they started, once they started sort of like calming down from all the drama that was going on. So maybe by that point in like late April or whatever, when the CinemaCon, whole event is going on, but specifically that screening, there could be like confidence to put Ezra out there with the film, but that is a wait and see situation. Also, it wouldn't shock me at all if a second trailer drops either on the exact same day that this screening happens or around this point, because that would be about 2 months before the movie hits theaters, just under 2 months from the point the movie hits theaters, and also like, jump on the hype, especially if good stuff comes out from CinemaCon in regards to this screening. So wouldn't shock me if a trailer came out either on that day or like later in the week roughly. But yeah, it's a good sign that Warner Brothers is showing so much faith in the Flash film, because many people were sort of writing it off heading into this year. And now the table is, the tables are sort of turning. Now, the next thing to talk about is some stuff in regards to DCTVs Future, which is a big question mark heading into like, I guess, not necessarily the rest of this year, but like 2024 and beyond. So over the past week, we had some HBO Max DCTV updates from the head over there in the form of Casey Bloys. With it being said that on the drama side of HBO Max, which is where most of these comic book things would fall, the push would be much more into popcorn and familiar franchises, inspired already by what James Gunn and Peter Safran did with their HBO Max series in Peacemaker, which of course was a spin-off from the Suicide Squad film. Now, with Gunn and Safran like overseeing DC and everything like that, HBO Max and, you know, all that TV stuff is going to be a big part of their plans. Now, among the announced projects already in development are Creature Commandos, which Gunn has been writing for a while, which is of course moving forward, while the Amanda Waller series starring Viola Davis is in active development. As for the others that Gunn and Safran have mentioned, like Lanterns, Paradise Lost, and Booster Gold, it will come down to first finding writers and then seeing where things go from there. As I talked to James and Peter about it, we're going to develop these things and hopefully they're all great, Casey Bloy said. If they're not, we'll have other options and we'll see. But that's what's most exciting is that they've got a plan. Anything that James is excited about in terms of DC, I'm good with. I just want to make sure for Max that they're the best shows that we can do. Now, the thing is that not everything has gone Casey Bloys' way on the HBO Max side of things. They've had big projects in HBO Max attached to big, whether it's IP or big like names like Ridley Scott and stuff, that hasn't worked and stuff has been cancelled. And then stuff like the Greg Berlanti deal and the J.J. Abrams deal, which was all there laid out, you know, shows planned to be made, they've fallen apart. Though, you know, Greg Berlanti's still moving forward with a bunch of stuff, but a lot of the big franchise stuff that those two guys were attached to have sort of just fallen away. And then we've attached it to this, you know, gone forward with the James Gunn and Peter Safran stuff as well. And just in general, HBO Max has had a big pullback in content, which obviously has like angered quite a decent amount of people. It has not been easy, Bloys admits. When I talk about it with the group here, it is somewhat cold comfort, but it is a fact that we're not alone in trying to figure this out. If it was just us, I would think you'd have people saying what the hell's going on, but the entire industry, television and film, everybody's going through these really, really difficult seismic changes. Historically, HBO has been incredibly profitable and made a lot of money. It allows us to take chances and take big swings. We're all trying to figure out, okay, in this new world, in a streaming environment, how do we do that? So overall, the interesting thing here is that there is that option that what happens with James Gunn and Peter Safran might not be wildly successful. And that's something that they're sort of prepared for, because you never know when you're dealing with something like Creature Commandos, which is super, super niche. But then they had something like Gossip Girl come, which was this massive thing, like only like 10 years ago, and no one watched the reboot. Now, of course, it's because it was different. It wasn't what people watched 10 years ago. But, you know, you're not just going to make the same show. You may just put the show on HBO Max, like the old one, and let people watch that. But it's very important to remember that Peacemaker wasn't like a top 5 or top 10 show on HBO Max, like for the service. It was like number 13 or 14 overall. So like there was a bunch of other shows, like Superman Lois is only like 2 or 3 positions behind it. And that's after Superman Lois airs its entire season on the CW. So it's going to be very interesting to see how these HBO Max shows, like I think the Amanda Waller show, I think should do pretty good. Like you'd think it'd do Peacemaker numbers because it's pretty much almost like a Peacemaker spin-off. And then something like the Green Lantern show and even the Paradise Lost thing with the Wonder Woman sort of like prequel stuff, you think would be good as well. And I'm looking really, really forward to Booster Gold. So I think that should be pretty good as well. And hopefully it does well there. And, you know, it's going to be one of those things where some things will perform really well. Some things might underperform and some things might be right in the middle. I mean, Disney Plus is right there, and like some things perform really good over there, and some things don't on the Marvel side. Like some things just like very mediocre responses, and that's just something you have to do if you want to build out the universe, introduce characters. Though, as the viewing audience, like myself, yourself, everything like that, you would hope when they're releasing a show, it's going to be good, especially if it's a limited series all the time. So it's going to be interesting to see how things play out, and hopefully it goes well, because I don't think I can handle another reset in like DC leadership and stuff. So I'm just hoping, if not begging and praying, that it all goes well. Because all the projects that have been announced, for the most part, I'm psyched for. And from what I'm seeing online, most people are psyched for them as well. So there's not much like division there. So I think everyone's behind it. It's just about seeing how it plays out and whether people show up both on the movie side, you know, in regards to buying tickets, but also on the TV side and actually watching the goddamn shows. And the next thing is like a minor thing, just something about Joker 2. Now, apparently there's been multiple endings that have been filmed for this, and it's rumored to have endings where both Joker and Harley Quinn live, where they both die, and endings where one or the other dies, which I guess just random, I guess, and they could be like dream sequences, I don't know. And Harley Quinn in the film, rather than being the doctor at, I guess, Arkham Asylum or the hospital, whatever it's going to be in the film, she will also be a patient. Now, I don't know if she's going to be like a former doctor who's now a patient, but that's where she meets the Joker. I'm not too sure, or she's just a straight up patient the entire time. It's a wait and see, but apparently that's the change there, and that's how they get to interact. And the final thing to go over in this video is some DCU casting stuff. Now, James Gunn reportedly is set to announce the talent, or the actors, that will both voice and play the characters in live action for the Creature Commando show on HBO Max, which of course is animated. But he did say that those characters, while animated, will go into live action and the voice actors will play them in live action, or vice versa, whichever way you want to put it. And he's also teased some stuff regarding the Authority on his Twitter and some other social media outlets. Now, that movie is the risky one, so it will be very interesting to see who was cast in that film, because I think it could be some very well-known names, some heavy hitters in like the industry, just to sort of like attract the general audience's attention. And then with those bigger named characters like your Superman, your Batmans, and whoever it might be, your Green Lanterns, all that stuff, he can go for not like really overly well-known actors. But it will be interesting to see what he does. I can't really predict usually what James Gunn is going to do. He's like a very random dude, so I'd never be too concrete on a thought of my own in regards to what I think he's going to do. But yeah, that's all to go over in today's video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, it'd be awesome if you could drop a like on it to show support. Let me know in the comment section down below your various opinions and all the stuff we went over. Always curious to read what you guys are thinking. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, and I will catch you guys later. Goodbye.